What makes you a woman? I think it's you understanding your identity, knowing what you stand for. And from young, I've always believed that I'm a woman. My actions, they speak volumes. Yes, I'm different, but it don't stop me from, being the woman I am.
Hello and welcome to Ways to Change the World. I'm Krishnan Guru-Murthy, and this is the podcast in which we talk to extraordinary people about the big ideas in their lives and the events that have helped shape them. My guest this week is an Olympic and world champion athlete who has been at the center of a global discussion about what it means to be a female athlete and the culture war that has surrounded the whole argument around gender. Semenya stayed quiet through most of the argument that surrounded her for many years, but she has now written her own story called The Race to Be Myself. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
You've written this, I suppose, because you now see yourself as sort of post-athletics. You're a sort of a campaigner, almost an activist. What is it you want to do with yourself now?
For me, what I want to do with myself now, I think is more for advocating for what is right, diverse and inclusivity, but mostly focus more on young girls that are facing scrutiny, who are being judged, who are being told they're not enough, but just only to remind them they matter. They should take their life seriously. They should know what is right and fight for what is right. I think it's more for encouraging them to voice out for what they believe is right, and always try to encourage those who are cannot stand up for themselves, go out there fight for their rights.
So let's sort of wind the clock back and talk about the story. I mean, first of all, you're different. You say that you're different. In what way are you different?
I think why I say I'm different is because I'm a woman, who's born with differences, which is what makes me, a different woman, from other women, which is, I'm born with internal, gonads. I'm born without, uterus. I don't have a fallopian tube. I don't go through, menstrual cycle. That's the only differences that make, me from other, women. But besides that, I'm just that woman that, with her special, genetics, which is, I embrace that, I love it about myself, and I celebrate it.
But as far as you've been concerned, all your life, you were a little girl.
Yes.
And you became a woman.
Of course.
And your identity has never been something that you questioned at all.
No, I've never questioned my identity. My parents have never questioned my identity. The society has never questioned my identity. Where I grew up.
When did you start to feel that you were different?
I always knew that I'm different simply because I never liked, playing around, with my sisters. I was always with my male cousins, from, day one in the household. I liked, fixing stuff around the house. I liked, going in the bush. I liked hunting, I liked those things. But I always knew that, I'm a woman. I just like, different things, from women. So, but that don't make me less a woman, because I always knew when it had to come around where someone mistaken me of a boy, playing soccer, I'll say, no, sir, I'm a woman. And I always loved that, because for me, it was always, it was all about being tough, being, challenging myself. I never liked being soft or anything.
So one of the terms that has been used about people like you is intersex. Is that a word you're comfortable with?
Of course, that's a term that they use biologically. Of course, for me, it's not a problem, but I consider myself as a woman. That's what it is. But obviously, they'll say intersex because of, you are born with internal, gonads. That's what I understand when I did my research. So I'll say that, yeah.
And what is it for you? I mean, I apologize for this question in a way, but I know it's one that a lot of people will be thinking. So what is it that makes you a woman?
What makes you a woman? I think it's you understanding your identity. I think it's not about what makes you a woman. It's about you feeling, your presence, knowing your identity, knowing what you stand for. And from young, I've always believed that I'm a woman. My actions, they speak volumes. Yes, I'm different, but it don't stop me from, being the woman I am. I think for me, mothering, caring, accepting people for who they are because it's the mother nature. So that's what makes you a woman.
Now, mothering is really interesting, isn't it? Because how old is your child?
My kids I have two kids.
Two kids, right.
One is 4, other one is 2. Yeah,
And they are the biological children of your partner.
yeah, of my partner. Yes.
So, having talked about being sort of quite tomboyish, I guess,
Yeah.
as a child,
Of course.
and interested in boyish things, how does that affect you as a mother? When you say being a mother is a defining feature of you being a woman?
It does not affect anything because being tomboy, it does not define, the woman you are. It's just a character that comes along, and which is that the word, actually I'd never use it because I always describe myself as women, you understand? It does not affect anything because I'm a mother. I mother my kids despite of my condition. And one thing that I need to correct people about is that if I have internal gonads, I don't produce sperm, I don't produce anything. I'm just a woman who is different. My kids, they receive the love of a mother. I give them the care as a mother. I make sure that they're happy. I care for them, I support them, and I protect them. So we need to start, finding the line, in terms of correcting those things. If you are stuck in an illusion of believing that just because I wear, trousers don't make me a man. It's just I feel comfortable wearing those trousers. I just like them. I feel when I say in South Africa, it's like I feel good wearing those, suits, wearing those clothes. But it don't make me forget the woman I am.
And when did you have any sort of medical exploration or examinations or anything like that, just for yourself before sport?
No, I've never done that.
You've never done
I've
that.
done that.
So you had no idea that there was not anything
Yes.
different about you.
Yeah, I had no idea that I have the condition DSD, but I've always knew that I might have a slight problem because if I'm 18 years of age, I've not experienced menstruation, which is at periods. I've not developed breast. There must be something, but it was always in my mind to say, you know what? When I'm ready enough to discover myself, of course I'll do that. But it was not the case because I never faced any physical or any illness in my body to make me suspect that, I might have the condition.
So you didn't go to the doctor to say,
No.
Why have I not?
Grew up in the villages, we don't do that.
Yeah.
You just live life. If you are happy, you are healthy. If you don't have, any problem, I cannot go see a doctor for nothing.
So when did sporting ambition enter your life? When did you start thinking, I want to be a champion?
It starts from young. When I age of 12, I think that's when I started having a better understanding of sports. But remember, from age of 4, I've been playing soccer. In South Africa, soccer is big. We all idolized, all those, ladies and men who played soccer. And I've always wanted to see myself, out there playing soccer in the national team. From age of 6, 7, played good soccer. But then age of 12, that's when I came across, world championships, Olympics, all those things came across, the Michael Johnsons, Marion Jones, the great, South Africans, Eliud Kipchoges, Paul Tigers, Terenish Dibabas, and then Lynette Mazais. I was like, you know what? I feel like running completes me because when we in football doing, the agility works, doing, strength and doing long runs, I'm always stronger. So I think if I transition into athletics, it will work. And I think since from that day, I knew that I'm following the right path.
Did somebody tell you to do that? Were you guided by a coach? Or?
From the beginning, I just started running. And then when I was in, high school, I came across, good coaches that, because I played, baseball in high school. I was good hitting home runs, doing that. And that teacher told me that because you're in athletics, I can see future. And he started, making me understand the world of sports. He spoke about doping. He started talking about, Ben Johnson, then Marion Jones. He was like, in sports, if you want to go far, you must stay away from drugs. You mustn't use, drugs, because if they test you, they'll find you with, those substances, you'll be out. And now he started explaining about the great, Kenyans, because that's when I started running, middle distance. He started telling me about, the Kenyans and Ethiopians. He said, you see, I see you in that light. If you can focus, concentrate on what you're doing, put focus on your training, manage your time, stay away from the streets, and just do your training, you'll see yourself, far. And since that day, those two, teachers, I followed them. They took me through, this, Limpopo, which is in the provincial, championships. And I started, researching about if I win, the provincials, I get to the nationals. The nationals takes me to international competitions. And then I started saying, what? I like these things of traveling. I want to travel the world. I want to explore. I want to, have an experience, on how to be, how different we are in Africa, explore with other people outside.
So when did you get your first taste of great success and think, I know what I want?
I think when I won the first, actually when I came second in the nationals in 2007, when I qualified for, to represent South Africa in the Kosasa Games in Botswana, that's when I knew that, what, this is a real business. If I focus, I stay, firm, I follow, the right, programs, then I make sure that streets, they are not my friends. I'm always on the fields. I think I can get where I want to be. I think that in 2007, it awakened, something in me.
So how old were you then? 16?
Yes, I was 16. Yes, I was 16.
So how were you treated by other 16-year-olds at that stage?
They loved me. They loved me. They always wanted me because they always found me funny. What they liked about me is that I've never hidden the person I am. I was always, that person who always say, you know what, if I'm different, if you feel like you're threatened, you let me know, because I don't want to be around people who feel like I'm their threat. They were like, no, you're beautiful the way you are. We like you. You're funny. You're making the sports, grow. Because at the end of the day, when we were running, we were more competitive. No one ever wanted to lose. We bet. Say, no, next competition, you're going to beat me. You understand? For me, I've always been the gem around, the kids around my age. I had fun. I love them. I still.
So you never had people sort of saying there's something a bit different about her. Nah, it's not fair.
No, I've never faced that. I've never faced that scrutiny. Never. Yeah.
But then you did a couple of years later, and you've written about it in pretty distressing detail, I have to say.
Yes.
I mean, it's a horrible story. What happened?
Yeah.
In that you were, I mean, I don't want to force you to tell because it's something people should probably write about, and I don't want to force you to say anything you don't want to say. But what do you want to say about what happened to you?
It started, after I've won, African Junior Championships when I ran, 156. I came back home, and when I came back home preparing for, World Championships, they sent me a psychologist, to say, look, she needs to come and, talk me through, the situation. But the psychologist didn't have guts to tell me that, look, your gender has been questioned. She just, told me, when you do good, people will always talk. They start questioning you. The person you are. But it don't tell me that, you've been questioned, your gender. And I'll be like, okay, it's fine. And then later on after that, session, I'm okay, man. I'm chilled. I understand myself. I love myself. I don't get intimidated by people who talk, because at the end of the day, I live my life for me, you understand, before any other. And my coach tells me that, no, you must go for doping, as well as he did not know that was a gender test, you understand. I get to that hospital. In my mind, okay, I'm here for doping. I tell the doctor, say, look, I'm preparing for, World Championships. I'm leaving tomorrow, So can we do it fast so I can, get my things together so I'm not delayed. And he tells me, no, but you're not here for doping test. So then that's when, I sat down with him so he can make me understand what was happening. He said, then we're going to do a lot of tests, which is we're going to evaluate. And that's when I asked him, is this like, you're going to test me if I'm not a girl or a boy? Then that's when he said, yes, this is a gender test. And so, okay, I tell him, look, I got nothing to hide. I'm a woman. Yes, I may look, different. I may be wearing dresses, trousers, not dresses, but I know what I am. I know, what I stand for. I'm a woman. He said, no, I don't have a problem. I don't disguise that. I'm not gonna judge you or say anything, but I'm just gonna do my job. And then he took the blood, and then he told me I've been asked to, evaluate you. Then I said, fine. Then he evaluated me. He did a sonography. And then after that, he said with me, say, look, I'm not going to be bushing around the corner. I'm not going to lie to you. From what I've discovered, in your body, it might be the results that you don't like. I said, look, man, I know I'm different, but anything that comes within, you understand, that comes with me, that comes with my body. I love it. I embrace it. So just get straight to the point. And then he says, your results will come out, in a day or two, but probably you'll find the results when you're in Berlin. You understand? And he said, look, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how you're going to handle it, but good luck. You understand? And I said, fine. I call Violet, my partner. I tell her about, what has happened. And I didn't want to come to Berlin, to be honest. Why? Because I felt, what, if I'm being conscious, that means I'm not welcomed. These people don't want me to run, you understand? When I get to Berlin, okay, everything is fine. I run the first hits, nothing wrong. After I run the first hits, they come take another test. They take the blood. And then, okay, it's fine. I thought it's doping. My mind is no longer there. I forgot about the situation. I'm young. I'm excited about, the championship. I saw Begeles, I saw, Dibabas, I saw the great, African, legends, And I'm like, yeah, is that me here? You understand? Now I'm starting to put myself in that picture to say, what, if I'm here, that means I'm in the same level. It does not matter whether I'm young or not. And I run the heats, it's fine. Then tomorrow morning, before I go run the semifinal, they do the other test. They come take the blood. Later on, probably the results are back. But before those results come, probably they said, okay, they want to do their own, test, and they need to evaluate me themselves. Okay. That coach, I was with, Wilfred Daniels, he was pissed. He was very angry. He said, what's going on? This is a kid. You can't be testing a kid each and every day. What nonsense is this? What really are you looking for? He did not know. I never spoke about actually what has happened, in South Africa because it did not bother me. And then they do the blood and say, I thought they were done. Then I wanted to leave. They said, no, we have to do evaluation. I say, oh, is it the gender test again? They did that, then they finished. When I get to the hotel, it's still in the morning. Vice president come to me because we come in from the same neighborhood. He has been my president even in Limpopo. It's like my dad. He looked after me. He's the one who grew me, actually. He tells me, the results are out. They're saying you have, high elevated testosterone and stuff like that. We have bad news. I'm afraid we have to withdraw you. I say, over my dead body. And that was the first time that guy saw my tears and the last time, you understand? And I tell him, look, you brought me here to fail. You brought me here to fail my people. That's not going to happen. There's no one who's going to drag me off the track. I'm going to run that semifinal. Then I ran the semifinal, it's good. After the semifinal, when I walk out, one gentleman, interviews me, asks me about everything. Towards the end of the interview, he tells me, your results have been leaked. So what is he talking about? What do you say about people saying you born a man? I'm like, born a man? Who said that? Where did you hear that from? And I don't care where you get it. I really don't give a damn, you understand? And I left. Probably, they've made sure that I don't see any news. I don't see TV. My roommate, she was a long jumper. She made sure that on TV, it's only movies, cartoons, because I was young, I loved cartoons. And it's fine. I get ready for my final. It's good. So in the morning, but I could see even in the hotel, during breakfast, people are talking, they're looking, they're pointing at me. I'm like, they're just pointing the new kid. I'm just a new kid in the block. Just ran a well lead, in the African Championships. So I was not even bothered by that. I get to the track, warm-up track. Everyone's still doing the same. The very same people that I'm going to run with, remember, they're not talking to me, they're not doing anything, they're looking at me with those eyes. I don't know, it's the eyes of fear, but what I saw in their eyes, it was a shock and a fear because the results has been leaked. And in my mind, I was like, if these people leak these results, they think I'll be ashamed of myself. I'm not ashamed of myself. I love my body. I love embracing myself. And I'm not going to let, no man tell me how I should look like, how I must look like, despite of my differences. At the end of the day, I'm a woman. I may be a different woman, but I'm still a woman. I'm still a human. I deserve, being treated with dignity and respect. Humility is very important. And I get them, they look at me, I could say, it's fine. Then one British athlete with his Marilyn Okoro, she comes to me to say hello before the final, I hope you're good. I don't know what she's talking about because I don't know about the league. I said, no, I'm fine. Thank you for your concern. Good luck also with your own race. But the rest don't speak to me. They just look at me, distance themselves from me. I'm like, I don't care. I'm going to whip you at the end of the day. I'm a competitor just like you. They are my sisters. I looked up to them. I've seen them run. You understand? For me, getting into the final, being treated like that, I'm like, okay. Just because I ran a well lead, I did not know. It was because of the leaked results where, people now know about my, internal affairs. But which is they've done me a favor because if they did not leak, I don't think I was ever going to be able to engage with the world. I'm engaging with the world now, you understand? And I ran a final, I win a final. After I won the final, we went home immediately. I didn't know that we do press conferences and all those things. Only after a few years, I knew that there've been a press conference where someone talks, ill-mannered about me to say, yes, she may be a woman, but maybe not women, enough. I'm like, where do you get guts to tell someone's daughter that they're not women enough? You get what I'm saying? I'm 18 years old, treating someone's daughter like that, to me, it did not show humanity.
And are you able to empathize at all with your opponents?
Yeah, of course.
Who do have worries about the fairness of going up against you, who say, well, we are not the same?
No, I can't sympathize in terms of that because there's no such a thing as fairness in sports. If you're going to say fairness in sports, how? Because sports, we come in the different backgrounds. We come from different worlds. If we're going to say, we're going to level the sports, you can never do that.
It was never a level playing field anyway.
It has never been a level playing field. My point here is that people need to understand that a woman who's born, with, differences, in sexual, the development in sexual differences, or you call it DSD, they're not a threat because it's more of a disorder. If you talk about disorder, it's like you're talking about the seed that can never grow. You understand? You're talking about something that is dead. Understand? As much as women with DSD don't produce sperm, how are they a man?
But if you have raised testosterone levels,
of course,
how is that not an advantage?
It can't be advantage because it does not make you fast. It does not make you anyhow. You don't develop anything. I would have respected if we as female with DSD are running same times as men. I would say that's advantage. But if I have advantage over other females, why am I running same pace with them? Why are they always with me?
Or slower?
Yes, or even slower than other women because yes, yes.
Let me read you. I mean, I know you've heard this quote, but I have to, you know, read this to our listeners and viewers as well. So the World Athletics,
Mhm.
formerly the IAAF, said it stood by its research. It said,
Mhm.
World Athletics has over a decade of research directly from DSD, differences in sex development athletes in our own
Yes.
sport, that show high testosterone levels do provide an unfair advantage in the female category. Are you just saying they're wrong?
They are wrong because that research, they published a journal in the British journal. Yes, there's a British journal that came out. It's misleading.
But are you able to prove it's false information?
Yeah, I'm that living testimony because they say I'm a man. They say I'm born a man, okay? So, but for me, I'll say, if I am a man, why am I not running those fast times
But
as man?
isn't the point whether or not you're a man, and clearly you're not a man,
Yes.
you're not the same as a woman who has female sexual organs and female normal levels
That's why
of
it
hormones.
says differences.
Yeah.
It says differences, but as a disorder.
So why is it fair for you to be different and to be competing against people who are?
So why? Okay, I'm gonna give you a question by question. Why is it fair for a man with his own abilities, of his own differences, to be fair competing against men? Can you answer that to me?
Some people say that's an argument for sort of doping. Yeah, anything goes.
No. It's not doping.
You know, there's nothing sort of fair about anything.
Yes,
because everyone has their own genetic
in
differences.
women's sports, when we have our own different genetics, which is my condition is genetic, why is it a problem?
Yeah.
So it's going to be like that. You get what I'm saying? My point is, if you're going to be asking those questions, you know, and then now the very same issue affects someone from Africa, someone from Asia only. Of course, I'll raise those questions. And for me, I'll be very clear with it. If you don't want we African women with DSD in sports, just say it, period. Say, look, you're not welcome in the sports. Garara here. Don't come here telling me that I'm a man, I should be running with men and doing this and that. For me, it's not fair because now you've been discriminating me, you're being racial. You understand? You get what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I'll respect, World Athletics to put down the statement to say, women with DSD, you are not welcome in the sports.
Because the other thing that they say about it is that there is a much higher proportion of women with DSD taking part in elite athletes. They say the research shows that the frequency of DSD individuals in the elite athlete population is around 140 times higher than in the general female population. This is why our guidelines on testosterone thresholds are necessary, because it affects sports.
What
to a
sports?
disproportionate.
Which sports?
That's
is
what
it
they're
affecting? Okay, let's talk about sports. If I may ask a question, sports is about entertainment. Okay, it's about entertaining people. It's about bringing people together, regardless where they're coming from, what the difference is. I want to understand which direction are they heading to in terms of affecting the sports. What is it that is affecting? Because I've never seen anything affected in the sports while people celebrate people's differences. People like seeing good 800 meters. People like seeing good results. People like seeing fast times. So what is it that is affecting because it's building the sport?
So do you think there have been a few women who have openly said things about you in athletics?
Yes.
Do you think they should look to their own genetic advantages and perhaps acknowledge them and say, well, you're not the same as everybody else either?
No, but that's their choice, because at the end of the day, look, your differences are your differences. For me, you're different. Whatever differences that you have, I don't think it matters the most. What matters the most here is that this is the sports. We are here to build one another. You understand? We're here to to help one another. And if running with me was a problem, why were they celebrating the PBs that they ran?
Yeah.
You understand? All of them, they ran good. They had good times and all those things. You understand?
So how do you feel now about sport? Do you feel very disillusioned with the way sport is run, or do you feel, is it something you still feel warm towards?
I love sports. I think what I feel at the moment is that women should be entitled to decide what is right for women. Women should be given chance, to regulate, women's sports. I think that's what I can say, because I don't see the importance of men coming in to say they want to regulate, women's sports.
But
what about us women doing that?
You imply that it's only men who think there is a problem with you.
At the end of the day,
that's not true, is it? There are also women who think
that's the truth. That's the truth, because men are the one who are dictating these situations. Men are the one who have came across, all these regulations. You understand? In a situation like this, I'll respect men if they allow women to make decisions based on these situations, women to engage and discuss these matters as women. For me, I'll respect them for that.
So what do you think are the bigger lessons for the world from what you've been through?
For me, I think a bigger lesson, it will be treat people with respect, with dignity, accept people for who they are, don't judge, don't discriminate, don't come with the racial comments towards people, love people for who they are.
Why do you think there is a racial component to what you have faced?
I say the racial component because if you look at the number of athletes that are affected by this situation, it's from the, African nation and Asian nation.
So you think it's racism?
Of course, it's racism. It's a racism, discriminatory. It plays that. You're segregating people from other people.
So what do you think your role is now?
My role? No, my role is to advocate for what is right, fight for women, sports, make sure that, these young girls, are treated with respect, dignity, but most important thing is to remind them that they should love themselves, they should accept themselves, and make sure that they fight for what is right.
And do you think there is any intersectionality between your struggle, if you like, your argument, and what is going on more broadly in the gender debate and the trans argument?
Those are
or are they entirely separate?
No, they are separate because when you talk about trans, it's already explained itself. It's a transition from one place to another, which is I don't have a problem with that. I don't discriminate, against anyone. You understand? But if you look into our, situation with DSD, a DSD is where you're born with your, the differences. That's the variety of, it may be, internal gonads. It may be, you're born with, no uterus, no fallopian tube. So that's it's a separation, it's a separation, separated issue, which is, you can't say nothing about.
The reason I ask is because you found yourself unable to compete.
Of course.
And in the wider gender debate, it feels like there's a sort of a backlash towards more traditional framing of what is a man and what is a woman. So are you sure that we are still on a progressive path?
Yeah, we are in the progressive path, like I said, because for me, on my side, you have to understand that I stand firm first with the human rights part, you understand, where each and every individual should be treated, with, respect. Human rights must be taken first, seriously, before we come in terms of what we should be regulating, who we think, is part of, this gender or what. For me, really, it's not about that. For me, it's about respect, dignity, not discriminating one. You understand? It's about treating people with respect. I'm not about, all those differences.
So, Caster Semenya, if you could change the world in any way, how would you change it?
For me, if I may change the world in any way, for me, I just want people to just treat one another with respect, with love, accept people for who they are, their differences, regardless of what. And just embrace one another. And then as we are one, let's respect one another's space. Let's respect one another human rights. I think human rights play a vital role. I'll say, humility is what I want to see, in this world.
Caster Semenya, thank you very much.
Thank you. Really appreciate your time.